sometimes, I mean, that's what I say all the time, but sometimes you practice only to maintain, because you cannot always find inspiration. So sometimes I say if I don't have time, or sometimes you don't have the will. You know what the will means. You don't. It's really you're not feeling like it can be really hard to always find like the motivation. So in this case, I just sit down and just practice and oil the machine. At least I don't lose what I have. And some other times, you start noodling around and you find some new ways. I mean, sometimes you play something that is surprising to yourself, because obviously like the hardest thing is to surprise yourself at a certain point, which in fact there's very, very few musicians that can still surprise their own self.
Okay, yeah.
So it's really hard. So sometimes you get just sick of your own playing, and not only sometimes, at some point, and you get over yourself. So that's when you have to sort of accept your own playing, and that's the way it is. And so all you can do is polish it, sculpt it, make it a little more subtle. But my approach to practicing is really not. Sometimes I just transcribe. It's like I don't know if I'd be a sax player, a piano player, or something that I heard somebody play. A friend of mine that maybe I don't know. It can be anything, and sometimes I just go back to the like people like Mike Brecker and that are fucking gold mine and fucking everything. So,
yeah.
So then I just transcribe and I apply it, and then I modify it a little bit to make it mine. Transcribing, in that I mean just playing the stuff and pausing and rewinding. Well, now that I'm really good at picking up by ear, because obviously I've been doing that all my life. Now I pick up groups of notes, all at once, and sometimes there's some tricky stuff. So if the sound isn't really too good, then I stop note by note. But most of the time I pick up segments.
Okay.
And then I discover, then you know what? Sometimes it makes you feel good about yourself. You're like, hey, actually that's how I see it too. Actually, I'm not too far from that. That's how I would. You would have played it different, but not that different. So it's like, yeah, okay, I understand what he's doing. Okay, cool. But sometimes the way things sound, sometimes it's like, what was that? And then you analyze it, and then it's not that crazy, but it sounds great.
Yeah.
The main thing is also that what I tell all the students or young musicians, that like you gotta quit practicing stuff that you're never gonna use. You practice only functional stuff that you're gonna be able to pull out right away. If you practice some tricky shit that aren't natural, you're actually gonna only get good at that very thing, and then you're not gonna never be able to actually use it once you're on stage. With all the conditions of a stage, whatever it is, with the excitement, adrenaline, and then you gotta play, listening and interacting with people, and then after that you have to build a proper solo.
Okay.
And then what do you do in the urge? Because that's always like that, you gotta pull out stuff. If you start thinking about it too much, then you can't. So by the way, every time I tried to, when I was a kid and I didn't know how to improvise, and I would try to learn by heart my solos, almost all the time I would do mistakes, and then it's not natural. It's, if you learn something by heart, not working. So you gotta work on stuff that are gonna be natural for either at first if you can't hear it yet, at least you got it in your muscle memory. But then also the thing is, you obviously get trained to be able to hear what you're gonna play. I can also spot people that don't hear what they're playing.
Yeah,
it's really easy to spot them. You can hear that the harmonic rhythm isn't right, and the phrase is not falling at the right place, and it's like. So that's what I'm trying. By the way, that's what I'm practicing, the harmonic rhythm to start. The start and the finish has to make sense.
Okay.
Start and finish, and it falls. It falls good, like as a somebody literate that's talking. Makes sense. It's it's not just a phrase and then out of nowhere. On the stage, you'll pull out some stuff. Well, you have to be able to never basically be in a situation where you're caught by surprise, or if you're caught by surprise, you have to be able to bounce back very quick. So you have to master your own playing as if it was a second nature. Because if you work everything out, soon as something different is occurring, something that wasn't planned, you're gonna just crash and burn. As opposed to if you can talk like we talk with your instrument, and then something's happening, and then you react to that, and then okay, wasn't planned, but let's do something else. That also makes sense. That's the difference. So when you practice, that's the mechanic. And the music, I mean, it's hard to explain because there's many ways, and it's just whatever I practice, I try also to really actually be lyrical.
Okay, yeah.
So it's for example, I never practice licks. So in my playing, you'll hear things that come back, but they aren't licks. More like things, how I hear them, or the muscle memory. Sometimes, unfortunately, everyone has it, but there aren't licks. It's actually a full thing that I'm trying to develop, and also it's part of your style. Mm-hmm. So if nobody can recognize you because you're always different, that never happened before. Nobody that I know ever. Even if it's Herbie and then people like that, those guys, you'll hear things that you recognize in their playing. So, but those are functional things that they built out of a lot of experience on stage and playing for years and years, but also a lot of practice. So, I wouldn't recommend working on licks and patterns. That's out of question. Well, the thing is, these days, now I have trouble playing standing up because I'm 70% only. When I'm standing up, I'm 70% of what I can do. As opposed to when I'm sitting with the bass, the bass like I put it now, where my arm is completely free and there's no thing to cut my blood flow.
You would never do it like this, right? I've never seen you doing this.
I was doing that before, but then I realized that I was never playing at my full capacity. Obviously, it changes everything, but yeah, I care. I mean, it's obviously, there are gigs that I allow myself to sit down and just play. Sit down and sitting down, and then I'm 100%. I can really operate like, at my full, at my full potential. So when I'm standing up, like tonight, I'm going to be standing up.
Yeah.
And I'm probably gonna set up a chair so that when I solo, I can actually put my. I'm probably gonna do that because honestly, it's starting to bother me that whenever I'm playing standing up, I'm never at my full potential. But yeah, so I just like I just went on my knees because I could actually it freed up my arm. Yeah, that sucks, man. I don't know how to play. When you want to play, when you're trying to play at those kinds of speeds and that dexterity, like there are things that has to be done. Like so, most of the bass players, they're not trying to. I really want to be able to like just play what I have in mind. So I could just say, yeah, but if I even at 70% of my potential, it is still gonna be okay. People won't know, and they're still gonna be alright with it, which is the case. But for me, I'm like, fuck, I'm like, shit, bothers me. So it's like, okay, something has to be done. Probably I have to find a new strap so that my bass falls the right way when I'm standing up. But at the same time, I don't want to look too geeky and shit because, like, But Dominic Piazza also plays like this. So already he doesn't have his arm against the body that cuts the blood flow. The technique he has, he already can, like, with his palm, he can push the body and he's played like that. So for me, I have to do this. So basically, standing up, this here is holding the bass, and so I end up like this.
Okay.
So obviously when you're like this, as opposed to like this, I have much more power like this. And also I'm just free, it's something that I have to work on, because obviously I don't want to play all the gigs sitting. But something like recently I've played with Hiromi, the piano player. I was sitting the whole time because also it's an intimate type of situation where Anthony Jackson was already sitting, and it's a trio thing, and we gotta be comfortable. We listen, it's really a type of like interaction type of situation, so it was okay to sit down. But I wouldn't play a pop gig sitting down, but also the pop gig doesn't require to be playing at 360 BPM. You know what I mean? It's like, so that's it. Yeah. So I care about my position. So it's not straight. It's more like a hook. That's how I can play with like that. I lowered my action recently, but it's not buzzing because of the technique I use. That it's not actually smashing the strings against the instrument. So I can play at low actions and still you wouldn't think that the bass isn't buzzing. Yeah, well, I used to play higher actions before, like my first album that was more like a regular bass. But the thing is, I got tendinitis from that, and when it's the same thing when you're trying to play at those pace, I'm not Superman, I'm not. Nobody is. So you got to choose, and because of today's like the builders, the bass, the electronics, you can still have a big sound with a low action. So who cares, man? The way you do it, as long as the notes are pretty.
Yeah.
And people, you know what? The thing is also, when you got a real technique, you can still play high actions. You'll still
obviously
sound good.
you play on NAMM show on every bass.
On any bass,
Yeah.
I won't tell you that I'm 100% of every bass, but I still can sound very clean and still have the dexterity. But the thing is, I don't want to fight my instrument. I'm not interested in that. I really want to do music. That's all I care about. The notes, and on top of that, with the low action, I can reach. I can access to tones, if I want to make it sound fretless on a fretted. You can't really get on a high action.
Yeah.
So all I care about is the music. I don't care how you do it. Some people are like, yeah, but I like to dig in. Yeah, but what kind of music are you playing most of the time?
Yeah.
Dude, if I was playing hardcore metal, I would probably raise my action. And like, or not. And why? Why? It's all about EQ and how you hit the string. People will tell you, yeah, you gotta raise your action, and that's this and this. Okay, maybe, dude, maybe you gain a little sustain. I'll tell you this, and maybe I'm gonna, if you publish this interview, I don't know, I'm gonna get crucified. I think that this doesn't matter. I still get a great sound, big sound with a low action, and I demonstrate it every day. And lots of other bass players do too. Like you take fucking Gary Willis. Gary Willis plays fretless too, but like he has a very low action. I'm just saying, it really doesn't matter. It's just think about the music. And like, I think it's really a geeky thing to think about. How, man,
Yeah.
you gotta raise your action because you get a bigger sound, and I don't think so. Or maybe I'm really dumb. I don't hear it. I don't think so. And it's great. I mean, Yannick Grisdala raising his action and making videos about it like
Every day, man.
He's my buddy, but I mean, like, dude, I love this sound before, and I don't think the sound is different today. I told him. I told him, man, I'm sorry, maybe I'm dumb, but I don't hear a difference with your sound before and now. So why do you want to fight your instrument? Why do you want to do that? So you gotta compose with your physique. I mean, my hands are not big. I'm not a fucking butcher. So unless you don't have like tendons that big that are gonna fucking crush the strings, keep your action like properly so that you can execute properly what you're trying to do. If you get butcher hands and that a very small action is not good for you, raise your action.
Yeah.
Do with what you do with your own stuff. Like somebody maybe like James Genus, he's got like big hands.
Yeah.
He needs a higher action. Maybe that. Lin Limard, he had really strong hands, so he plays like actions like that and plays amazing.
Yeah.
It's not the same type of playing. Lin Limard is, and by the way, he's my buddy and I'm a huge fan of his since the first time I heard him, but this is not the same type of playing.
Yeah. Okay.
This is not really horns live.
Okay.
It's based more on like crossing strings and like you hit the string, like you hit 3 strings like this, and there's a lot of those of like ta da ta da ta da ta da. I do 1 note per attack, da 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 da. But I do a lot more piano type, horn type lines that last a long time. I can't have an action like this. I'm gonna fucking get like, it's just not the same playing. So it works for him, and he crushed the strings, and it sounds fucking amazing. For me, I'm like, hey, you know what? I don't care. I still have a big sound, so that's all I care about. No, you can't count.
Yeah.
You can't play otherwise. No, you feel it at some point, and then you got the metronome and the clave in your mind. So 11, for example, I was playing with Hiromi, that 11-8 or something. So that's the motif that you have to have. It's just tricks. You don't even have to count, like say it's just out loud, So it's like anything. You see the result of it. Sometimes I may have taken a minute for me to like that 11 thing with Hiromi. Took me a minute to feel it. We had to actually play it for maybe 45 minutes, and then I got like I was practicing her songs, and this particular song I was like okay, practicing, absorbing it, and the next day you wake up and it's just logic.